I will be teaching you how all the businesses in GTA Online work by answering 3 simple questions. How much does it pay? How does it work? And should I get it? So that you can get a quick refresh if you've been away for a while or you just simply want to know what to do. Timestamps below. Let's go. First, we should establish some general tips and explanations so I can avoid repeating myself throughout the video. Selling in a public lobby of at least 20 players will allow you to earn a lot more money when selling your business, but it doesn't come without a risk. For each player, you will earn an additional 2% more money based on the value of your sale. On screen, I'll show you some examples of this. You can also decide to sell in an invite only session to avoid any of these risks if you prefer to do so. Obviously, if you were to do that, you will be missing out on the before mentioned bonus. If you are selling in a public lobby and you're getting attacked, you lose a bit of cargo, or you simply just get stuck, finding a new session will allow you to only lose a tiny bit of your business and try again. If everything gets destroyed and the sale mission is over, however, you're screwed. I'd also like to kind of go over how passive businesses work, as there's quite a few in the game, and throughout this guide I'll be mentioning a few of them. The way that these passive businesses work is pretty simple. As long as there are supplies in your business, the business will generate money for you. Let's say you're playing some races or just messing about doing literally anything in free roam, the game will continue to make money for you. Having said that, when you enter a loading screen, you have a chance of losing some progress, so if you want to be extra sure that your business is consistently generating money, you want to stick to free roam. And yes, that does mean stuff like the casino heist and the Kuiper heist can be done while the business continues to make consistent money. You can also decide to go AFK through one of the various methods, with the most consistent one being rubber banding your controller and then just simply walking in circles. You also want to always make sure to get the upgrades to improve the value of your product of your passive business. Security upgrades are mostly optional. The only business that they're kind of a must but not entirely are the biker businesses, because they can be prevented from happening by not always being an MC president inside of free roam. But if you're someone that likes to be an MC president all the time to spawn your bike easily, you might want to get those security upgrades. The Terrorbyte is an extremely useful tool that allows you to start sourcing missions from the terminal anywhere on the map, saving you a trip to your office or your business. This is especially useful for vehicle and special cargo. However, you will need a Nightclub for this in order to be able to purchase the Terrorbyte itself. Special Cargo pays out $1.5 million for a large warehouse, $483,000 for a medium warehouse, and $148,000 for a small warehouse. To start the business, you will need a CEO office and a warehouse. The best bang for your buck office is the Arcadius Business Center, costing $2.25 million. The cheapest office is Fine 2, which is Maze Bank West, costing $1 million flat. Warehouses range from $250,000 all the way up to $3.5 million for the most expensive large warehouse. This is obviously based on location and size. You want to go for at least 2 large warehouses to avoid the sourcing cooldown timer, which generally is 3 minutes. The cheapest options are the wholesale furniture warehouse at $1.9 million and the West Vinewood Backlog warehouse at $2.1 million. You can decide to take the approach of just getting one warehouse and passively fill that up through the warehouse staff instead. In order to do this, you go to your warehouse, pay $7,500 and wait 48 minutes for the crates to arrive. And the best part is that you don't even have to be on the game for them to arrive. Typically, the warehouse staff will get you 1 or 2 crates from this, and it shouldn't really cut into your profits too much, especially if you combine it with regular ways of sourcing. Sourcing crates is very straightforward. So you go to your CEO office, source 3 crates for $18,000, and then just go back and forth to your warehouse until it's full. Then you do a sale mission and you make your money. Sourcing missions generally have you drive a slow vehicle back to your warehouse, and after you source some crates, you will have a cooldown that you can avoid by having the aforementioned second warehouse, allowing you to keep going and make more money. You can also combine this with any other activities in the game while you wait for the cooldown to be done. Sale missions have 3 different variations. Either you deliver through a plane, a boat, or through a truck. The amount of trucks depends on how many crates that you have in your warehouse and that you are attempting to sell. Special Cargo is a pretty decent business, but it requires a whole lot of effort in order to fill things up. And I'd argue that there's better businesses out there, but if you were to get the Special Cargo business, especially just let the the warehouse staff fill it up over time, or wait for a double cash event to drop by. Then you will make a lot more money and make this business a lot more worth it. If you're feeling fancy, getting 5 large warehouses will allow you to make at least $15.54 million in profit during one of these double money event weeks. But I have to warn you that this will take a long time, and frankly isn't really worth it, because in the same time you can do a whole lot of other stuff that is much more worth your time. The only reason to get the business is for your nightclub business, or if driving from A to B in slow vehicles appeals to you. But from a money point of view, I'd argue it really isn't worth your time. The biker businesses are a passive business, allowing you to earn around $500,000 for each business. To start a biker business, you need to own a biker clubhouse, and then you'll be able to purchase the businesses. The 4 businesses you want to go for in order from best to worst are coke, meth, counterfeit cash, and weed. Avoid document forgery at all times. It is a total waste of time and money. The before mentioned profits will be cut down a bit if you choose to purchase supplies rather than getting them yourself. This will cost you about $150,000 for each business, and especially if you're running multiple businesses in the game at the time, this will be highly worth it. But if you are strapped for cash, or just simply really enjoy driving slow vehicles back and forth, you might want to consider sourcing supplies instead. The best location for your businesses are also the cheapest. On screen, I will show you all the locations that you should be getting. Also, make sure to get the upgrades as well to make sure you're actually earning the full amount of money. If you can't avoid these upgrades yet, you probably want to hold off on getting the businesses until you can. The sale missions have a few different variations. You can get a helicopter, a dolo plane, a trash truck, a truck, or the infamous postal P vans. The amount of vehicles you will get is based on the value that your business is holding. The general rule of thumb here is that if you want to sell as a solo player, you want to make sure that your product does not exceed the 1.5 bar to 2 bars mark. It is definitely possible to sell these vehicles by yourself, because the time that you get generally is enough, but it obviously will depend on how familiar you are with the game, and if you're just simply always following the yellow line, which typically isn't really the fastest way to go, especially if you're driving those very slow postal P vans. Another option to use is the street dealers, which is definitely one of the more solo friendly ways of going about it. It will allow you to offload some of the product without really needing to do any of the sale missions. It will earn you a bit less money and can be found in the 3 daily locations with the symbols shown on screen. It's a pretty great way of making some quick cash that is completely risk-free. Nothing can get destroyed, you just walk up to the guy and sell your stuff. The biker business is going to take you a while to turn a profit after your initial investment, which will rack up to the millions of dollars, especially if you get the 4 that I mentioned before. While it's nice to have stuff running in the background to make a bit of money, the time and effort spent here is better spent somewhere else. The biker business really is only worth your time when it's double cash, and for that reason, I find it really tough to really recommend them. They are a necessity for the nightclub business, so that will be, in my opinion, really the only reason to own them. And for that, you'd really only just need to have them running without any supplies or upgrades needed. You just simply need them in your portfolio. The vehicle cargo business pays out $80,000 per top-ranked car sold. To get this, you need to own a CEO office and a vehicle warehouse. The cheapest options being the Maze Bank West office and the La Mesa vehicle warehouse. Both of these are perfectly fine. To get started, make your way to your office and start a sourcing mission, grab the car and then deliver it to your warehouse. After this, you will put on a 3-minute cooldown until you can get the next one. There's a total of 32 vehicles that you can get inside of the business, and the trick to get nothing but the top range vehicles which pay out the most will require a little bit of prep work, but will be worth it in the end. All you need to do is simply source every single standard and mid-range vehicle and make sure you don't go over the 32 total vehicles, as those first 32 vehicles will never be a duplicate, allowing you to consistently source top range vehicles every time that you start a sourcing missions. Selling a vehicle will put you on a 20-minute cooldown, allowing you to do 2 more sourcing missions before you start your next sale. It's a very straightforward and fun business, but sadly it's a very outdated one too. If there were to be a business that I'd advise you to skip out on if you're solely in it for the money, then this one would definitely be it. It doesn't serve any purpose to a nightclub or literally anything in the game. It's just kind of there by itself, and having a really outdated payout for something that will take you a long time to even set up properly, and the list kind of goes on. There's more negatives to it than there are positives. So unless you're looking for doing something very old school GTA, I'd have a tough time really recommending this one. The bunker is a passive business and can earn you about $1 million in about 11 hours. To start your bunker, you will want to purchase the Too Much Bunker for $1.6 million, with the staff and equipment upgrade costing you another $1.6 million too. You can start out without having any upgrades, but it will be advised that you start sourcing your own supplies if you do so you don't lose money. These profits can also be cut down a bit, of course, if you start purchasing supplies instead of getting them yourself, and this will cost you about $375,000. Especially if you're running multiple businesses in the game, once again, this will be highly worth it. If you're strapped for cash, or you just really like to drive those slow vehicles again back and forth, you might want to start considering sourcing them supplies instead. Sale missions work as followed. On screen, I'll show you a graph of how much the value will correspond with how many vehicles you'll get for the sale mission. So let's say, for example, you have a total of $500,000 in your bunker, then you will have a chance of 1 to 2 vehicles when you start the sale mission. There's also a few variations to the sale missions. The simple 1 insurgent drop-off, defeating Merryweather at the drop-off location, 5 drop-offs with a June FAV or in a monster truck, and a simple Phantom Wedge drop-off. Out of these missions, the Merryweather one is definitely the one that's impossible to do solo when selling multiple vehicles, but the others, I'd argue, if you get some good luck here and a good drop-off location, or in the case of the June FAV or the monster truck 5 drop-off locations, it would be possible. But if you're a solo player, you probably want to be careful with not getting multiple vehicles, because it can be a bit of a ball ache, especially if you're trying to sell in those public lobbies. The bunker is a worthy investment for any GTA Online player wanting to make some money without any hassle whatsoever. You can even spawn inside of your bunker when you purchase that as an upgrade, allowing you to log in for the day, buy the supplies, and just go do whatever you feel like doing. The bunker should definitely be one of those first businesses, if not the first business, that you buy in the game. The Hangar can earn you about $2 million in 4 to 6 hours. To get started, you will need to purchase a hangar. Obviously, the best location is the cheapest hangar in Fort Zancudo. It's very central, the missions are always nearby, and also has the added benefit of never getting a wanted level when entering or flying over Fort Zancudo. From there, you can enter the hangar and start your sourcing missions from the laptop in the office upstairs. Make sure to pick the land option, as these missions are far quicker than the air ones. The narcotics, chemicals, and medical supplies are the sourcing options that you want to go for, as those hold the most value. Pick 2 of these and then just keep rotating in between them to make sure you can avoid the cooldown timer. Also, the amount of crates you get from the sourcing missions is dependent on how many players are in your CEO or MC. So if you're having 3 friends that are just messing around, then just make sure to invite them to your CEO or MC so you can grab 3 additional crates and speed up the process. And you can even decide to try your luck in free roam to see if anyone just wants to join your club for no other reason than you abusing them to grab yourself a few extra crates. Maybe if you get lucky, they might even help you. You never know. You could also decide to use the Rooster to source crates, but this will cost you $25,000. You will get a random product and amount of crates and will take 48 minutes in real time to arrive. And obviously, like with the special cargo, you don't have to be in the game for them to arrive. It's a pretty solid way of turning the hangar into a bit more of a passive business, but it does have a few drawbacks. Obviously, because you get a random crate, you won't always get the narcotics or the medical supplies or the chemicals, thus meaning that your collection of crates is kind of going to be all over the place. But if it's just something that you don't really want to pay attention to and turn it into something that you kind of get money with over time, it is probably a pretty solid way of going about it. Keep doing all this until you have 2 sets of 25 crates, so you can get a bonus of 35% for each of these crates, and make sure to sell them separately. Again, make sure to pick the land option when selling for a much easier sale mission. The sail missions, when doing the land missions, are very straightforward and really just require you to drop off the goods in a location in one of the cars given to you. You are able to sell a full 25 crate load all by yourself, solo, if you choose to do so. You will not be getting multiple vehicles. The Hangar is effectively a much better version of the special cargo, as it allows you to use your aircraft to pick up the crates and fly it back again. I would argue that the Hangar is the kind of business that you get if you at the very least have a helicopter available to you, as you will be doing quite a bit of back and forth. From a payout point of view, it is pretty decent. While there are better options out there for making money, the Hangar will provide you with about $2 million in 4 to 6 hours. It is a very hassle-free way of making money without any real difficulty attached to it whatsoever. The Nightclub is a passive business, but requires you to own other passive businesses for it to work. The businesses you want to own are the following: the special cargo warehouse, this can be a small one, the coke, weed and meth biker businesses, and the bunker. While having said that, there is a part of the Nightclub that pretty much is the main reason to get it, and it's the best way to make money with it in the quickest way. This is the safe. The safe can store up to $250,000, and all you have to do is just simply keep your popularity of your Nightclub up to a certain level, that being 90%. This can easily be done by going into your Nightclub in passive mode, so you force the game to give you to kick someone out of your Nightclub business. Doing so will give you a 25% boost in popularity, or you can go down to the basement and just swap out DJs for $10,000 each for a quick 10% boost every time you do so. Keeping the popularity above 90% will earn you $50,000 every 48 minutes in passive income. If it goes below 90%, it will drop down to $45,000, and it keeps dropping down until zero. As of the actual business side of things, the Nightclub will not require you to do any sourcing missions whatsoever. No purchasing supplies for either the Nightclub or any other businesses. You just simply leave it running. But it will take about 20 hours of playtime before it's time to sell. You are able to try and speed up the process by doing a bit of Johan missions here and there, or just doing some business battles, but these really aren't worth your time. You really are just better off doing something else with your time instead. To get started with the Nightclub, all you have to do is just simply buy a Nightclub for about $1 million. The location doesn't really matter here, and even the cheapest option in Elysian Island or LSIA are perfectly fine, as the only thing you'll be doing from your Nightclub is just do a sail mission, really. The upgrades and technicians are definitely the most important part, however. You will want to get all the technicians and assign them to the before mentioned businesses shown on screen. And then also get all the 5 floors to make sure you can store all of this product that you are going to accumulate over those 20 hours. It is also a great idea to upgrade your Speedo and Pounder custom if you're going to sell in a public lobby for some extra armor, proximity mines and handy weapons if you are getting attacked. Do avoid getting the Mule custom, however. It's a waste of money and it's also much slower, and if you don't buy it, you automatically get into the Pounder custom instead, which is way more armored, way faster, but can get you stuck in some things. So if you're going to be driving the Pounder custom, make sure to not hit too many curbs and stuff, and just stick to as much flat ground as you possibly can. Selling your product is best done when your South American imports are at maximum. Like I mentioned before, this will take 20 hours of playtime. The sail missions themselves have no different variations of vehicles, as the vehicles that I mentioned before in your Nightclub that you upgraded will also be the ones that you will use in the sail missions. This is depending on how much value you are selling. The missions themselves are also very straightforward and generally just require you to simply drop it off without too much hassle. Another reason to avoid getting the Mule is because one of the more annoying missions in there requires you to pick it up with a cargo bob, so don't get the Mule custom. The Asset Lab is another passive business that will earn you $335,000 in about 4 hours of playtime. To start your Asset Lab, you will need to complete the first dose missions from decks that can be started in Sandy Shores, and they will continue at the Freak Shop located near the casino. Upon completing these missions, you'll be able to purchase the Asset Lab for $750,000, but this is essentially free, as the game will give you a bunch of bonuses and rewards for doing the first dose missions, allowing you to effectively get it for free. But you also want to make sure that you are doing the 10 DEX missions that are required in order to purchase the upgrade for the Asset Lab, which will cost you another $750,000. To access them, you simply call DEX on your phone and request work. But these missions sadly will have a 48-minute cooldown on each of them, so you kind of want to do this over time, and I advise you to kind of keep an eye on them and make sure to do them as quickly as you can. The great thing about the Asset Lab is you can call MUD and purchase supplies for $60,000 anywhere on the map. In order to completely fill out the business, you'll have to purchase supply twice. And you're also able to speed up production every real life day by going to the Asset Lab and doing a bit of magic. The sale missions all revolve around selling your product on the delivery bike, and it's a very solo friendly way of doing it. You will never have multiple vehicles spawn unless you are selling with some friends. So no matter the amount that is in your Asset Lab, it is extremely straightforward. The Asset Lab honestly is a very solid business that will allow you to earn a decent amount of money for virtually no effort. The 10 DEX missions will take you a bit of time to get all of them done, primarily because of the cooldown that is in there, but knowing the GTA Online community, I'm sure that there's a way around it if that hasn't been patched just yet. But once those are all done, you want to make sure to boost your production of your lab every day, so be swinging in cash relatively soon. Especially if you are a player that is just starting out, I'd advise you to start looking into getting the Asset Lab, as you're virtually getting it for free, and even non-upgraded, it's a pretty decent way of making some solid money. And that is every single business in GTA Online explained. If you found it useful, make sure to leave it a like, subscribe for more, and become a member like Chloe, GTA Plus, Notorious Jam, Dan, and the Crystalonics, and I'll see you all later.